I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, over the weekend, the world saw powerful images coming out of Tehran. Iran protesters, many of them students, braved gas and gunfire to gather in the streets and speak out against their oppressive government for lying to its people. We saw video footage of people putting their personal safety at risk so their fellow citizens and the countries of the world could know the truth about what was going on inside Iran. The Iranian protesters are showing incredible courage, standing up to a government that kills and brutally silences its own people. To get a sense of how brave their actions are, think about this. When Iranians took to the streets to protest late last year, many of them were shot and killed by their own country's security forces. Death tolls show Iran's government killed 1,500 people during the 2-month demonstration. According to the experts, this is the bloodiest crackdown on protesters since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. It came after the supreme leader of Iran gave a chilling order to do whatever it takes to end it. Sadly, attacks on innocent civilians have been all too common in Iran. This is just another horrifying chapter in their long history of harming their own citizens. What is happening in Iran is a reminder that here in the United States there should never be any hesitation to stand with people in their calls for freedom. From the beginning, America has been a shining beacon of hope for those seeking a free society. Our task is to embrace that identity and the responsibility that comes with it, especially now. We cannot shrink from the sources of our national greatness. That is why I stand here today to ask you to lend freedom your voice and unconditional support. The resolution I introduced yesterday accomplishes 3 things. It condemns the government of Iran for shooting down Ukrainian international airline flight 752 that killed 172 innocent civilians. It expresses unequivocal support for the Iranian protesters, and it calls on the Iranian regime to not use force against its own people, as it has shown so many times before. This resolution sends a strong message that the United States stands with the Iranian people, and we are with them in their demands for free and honest government. But the resolution also intends to amplify the voice of the Iranian protesters. It does not call for anything Iranians have not already demanded themselves. This is an issue on which Congress should and must speak with one voice. We already passed similar measures supporting Hong Kong protesters by substantial bipartisan margins. It should not be difficult for us to pass this resolution. Mr. Speaker, I've been thinking a lot about what the Iranian protests mean today and in the future. And 2 things come to mind: a story and a quote. The story is a small one. It happened a couple days ago at a university in Tehran. It is about a group of students and 2 big flags. The Iranian government had painted large American and Israeli flags in the middle of the street as a sign of disrespect, expecting people to walk over them. But a group of Iranian students courageously defied the regime's wishes. They would not walk on the flag and booed those who did. Some have reported that the students were chanting, "Our enemy is in Iran, not America." There are moments in time of history that the crave for freedom gets displayed, be it a young lone man standing in front of tanks in Tiananmen Square, or be it some students in Tehran, fear of just a few months before being murdered, but not willing to walk on the American flag. A small moment with a big meaning for the students, for Iran and for us. It reminds me of the Hong Kong protesters who waved American flags and sang our national anthem. And the quote I've been thinking of, it comes from an anthology of speeches that Frederick Douglass read as a young man. The quote is this: "Let it be remembered, there's no luxury so exquisite as the exercise of humanity. and no post so honorable as his who defends the rights of man. Mr. Speaker, America is more than a country. We are an idea, an inspiration for those who yearn to be free and have the ability and dignity to determine their own destiny. So many times in this body, as these moments rose around the world, be it the shipyard workers of Poland, be it the craving of the Berlin Wall collapsing and becoming one, be it those in Hong Kong that want just freedom of speech. Let not us be the Congress that misses the opportunity. Let us not be the Congress that takes 1 week earlier and sends a message to the Iran government that it's much different, that we're divided, that we would not stand up if they murdered their own people again. Or we would not stand up if those who were young students who rose and would not walk across an American flag and booed those who would. Those who would stand up in Iran and say, the enemy is in Iran, not in America. Let us not be that Congress. Let us take this moment in time where history has shown that we are right when we stand with anyone who craves freedom. This resolution is the right way to amplify their call for freedom in Iran. It's not just those on C-SPAN who is watching, it's the world who is watching. The world is much smaller today than at those other times. We will not have to wait for days or hours for the news to come across. It'll be in a tweet, it'll be in a text, or it'll be in an Instagram. Yeah, there are important issues in this nation, but there are none more important than whether we stand for freedom. I do not want this Congress to walk in shame that they missed this window. I do not want historians to look back in a few days and see civilians were killed because they stood for freedom and America stood quiet. That's why I'm asking that we vote no on this PQ. This resolution deserves to be heard, but more importantly, the world deserves to hear this Congress act. Do you agree that America is more than a country, that America is an idea? That it could be so great of an inspiration, it would move the students to crave what we fought for. Let's take this moment in time to tell them we hear them, we stand with them, and this America will always defend freedom here and around the world. I yield back.